Alright, we got that one unplugged. Go ahead and just do the same thing. And we'll work our way all the way up to the front. And then we'll continue on the other side. Alright, you can go ahead and move your way from the back to the front there. Replacing just one plug at a time. Just take it nice and slow. I removed this plate right here. I'm pretty sure all the R's have this, but I didn't really think it was going to be that big of a deal. But once you get to this second to the front, it actually is going to help you to go ahead and remove this. All you got to do is take these two nuts off right here. Make sure you take everything off of this bracket. There's going to be a little loom like this that actually goes inside these holes. There's going to be one right there, and there's going to be one down in here. So make sure you go ahead and take those off, and then pull this plate out, and then you should be able to, like all these rubber hoses here, if you're real gentle with them, you'll be able to move them out of the way. That way you can pull this second to front coil here, or the ignition coil. You'll be able to pull it out because you'll be able to maneuver this out of the way. Let me try to get in there so you can see it better. So you'll be able to move this up and over, and then that ignition coil should come right out. So that's just, this side here is probably going to be the most difficult. So if you do that, you should be able to maneuver it out of the way, and then the rest should be pretty straightforward. I'll go ahead and try to pick the hardest one on the other side to film that too. And then that should be everything you need to know. As you can see, I'm all finished here. Went ahead and did this other side. The back one's the hardest, which is the one I showed you how to do. Once again, take that bracket out. You'll be able to move everything out of the way to get this second to the front one out. The third one is actually not that bad. The front one here, when you actually pull the coil out, if you turn it, you should be able to clear it through all this stuff right here. To pull that coil out, once again, no big deal. Alright, now we'll go ahead and put our coil cover back on here. We want to go from the front. Go ahead and just slide it back. So get it in place. Go ahead and push it back down on all the tabs. You hear it click into place. Alright, we got the coil cover back on. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this bracket back on. If you want to see it going back on, taking it off is pretty much going to be the opposite. Go ahead and get her in place. Two nuts back on. This is a 13 mil. Tighten that back down. Alright. Just got that tightened. One of the wire looms that pushes in right there. I'll go ahead and put this back on. Mounted right here. And then this one here. Mounted right there. And the other wire loom is right there. Got that all back. You're good to go on the passenger side or the driver's side. Now we'll move on to the other side. Alright, we'll go ahead and pop the coil cover off. We're on the passenger side now. These things are on there really good, so you're gonna kind of have to work your way towards where it's actually mounted at to get good leverage on it to pull it up. You don't want to just be pulling on one end because you'll end up cracking these. So went ahead and got this one off already. So we're gonna go ahead and pull it down and slide it right up. If you have these eraser looking things come out, they actually go inside these little spots here. So you can go ahead and just push them back in there. So we'll get that out of the way. Then once again, this side is actually a lot more room. So this one will be pretty straightforward. It looks like this back one's going to be the hardest, so I'll go ahead and document that one for you guys. And then all the rest of them pretty much just going to be straightforward. Work your way from the back to the front. Do one at a time. I like to recommend just doing one at a time because then, you know, you're only going to have one screw out at a time, one plug out. You know, do one at a time. That way, make sure everything's good and you just don't have like a bunch of screws everywhere to lose. So I'll go ahead and unplug this back one. Alright, we'll go ahead and push this plug off. So get it back a little. Now we can go ahead and keep the bolt holding our coil in. Loosen that up. We'll take that out. And then we should be able to slide our coil right up. As you can see, this big wire loom's in the way, so I'm just going to kind of get a little muscle there to push it back. And we got it out. Get our same contraption we made here for the other side. Slide it down in there. Put it on the spark plug. Now we'll loosen her. Get her loose, you should be able to just finger her out. And there you go, that's the hardest one on that side. The rest of them, you're pretty much just going to go straight down the line. They all should be nice and easy after that. And then put it back together, snap your coil cover back on, and you got some new plugs. Alright, now we'll go ahead and do a tool breakdown for you so you can see everything that you'd need. Alright, once you go ahead and button up those last three over there, after the one that I'd showed you, you go ahead and just snap your coil cover back on. Before you do that, you want to make sure everything is all plugged back up, everything's screwed down nice, and put that back on and you're all good. Alright, this will be pretty much the tool breakdown. You're going to want a 3/8 inch drive ratchet, a spark plug socket, 5/8 inch, preferably a spark plug one so you get that nice rubber gasket in there so you hold your spark plug in place. Got a 3-inch extension, 3/8 inch drive universal joint, spark plug gapper, one like this preferably. Here, it's one of them OEMs from AutoZone. There's a part number on there. That way you make sure you get the one that actually has the gap for the S-Type R. 13 millimeter. This was used to take the two nuts off to actually pull that bracket off on the driver's side. A 6-inch extension. If you want to make it a little easier, it's best if you have two, or just a 12-inch. That way, if you put that on the end of there the way that I showed you earlier, it'll give you more room to use your socket wrench in there. You're going to want a torque wrench and a 1/4 inch drive with an 8 mil. That's for the bolts that hold the coils in place. I went ahead and also used two 4-inch extensions for that. It's just easier to pull the socket wrench a little farther out, get a little bit more room to loosen everything down. And that's all the tools there. I did use a flathead screwdriver to help me pry off those coil covers, so if you need some help with that, that'll help. Just be very gentle with it, because if you pry it in the wrong place, you'll end up cracking those valve cover or the coil covers. And that's it. I hope this helps you, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact me on the message boards.